Hello, myself Piyush Antandil, working as Assistant Professor in Electrical Engineering Department of Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Today we are talking about the subject of Industrial Instrumentation, which comes in 4th year, 7th semester. And right now we are studying the chapter number 1, that is Transducer. And this is the 4th video or 4th module of this chapter. So starting with flow of content. In flow of content, we are going to see the classification of electrical transducers, that are active transducer and passive transducer. Then after, we are going to see the comparison between active and passive transducer. After that, we are going to study analog transducer and digital transducer. Then after, comparison between analog and digital transducer. After that, primary and secondary transducer, and same as comparison of primary and secondary transducer. After that, transducer and inverse transducer. Then after, classification of the transducer on the quantity to be measured. So which kind of quantity we are going to measure, according to that we can classify our transducer. Then after, classification of transducer according to transduction principle. So which kind of principle we are following in our transducer, based on that there are different classification. After that, characteristics of transducer. There are several characteristics of the transducer and basic requirement of transducer in our day-to-day life. So why we required transducer in our everyday life. So moving forward, classification of electrical transducer. So there are different classification like active and passive transducer, analog and digital transducer, depending on basis of transduction principle to be used. Then after, primary transducer and secondary transducer, and after that the transducer and inverse transducer. Now we are going to study every points in detail. So starting with active transducer. Now what is active transducer? These transducer do not need any external source of power for their operation. So these statements say that our transducer does not need any external source or any external power to perform the particular operation. At that time, that kind of transducer is called as a active transducer, and therefore they are also called as a self-generating type transducer, because we are not providing any external source to this transducer. That's why this transducer can also called as a self-generating type transducer. The active transducer can be further classified as shown in figure. So right now we have one figure, that is photovoltaic, thermoelectric, piezoelectric, electromagnetic, chemical and others. So these are the types of active transducer which do not require any external source. That is why these transducer are called as a active transducer. Now, the active transducer are self-generating device which operate under the energy conversion principle. So it is simple as that. Energy cannot be created, not be destroyed. It only convert from its one form to another form. So using these kind of active transducer, what we are doing, we are only converting our energy from one form to the another form, right? Or we can say physical form to the electric form. Now at the output of active transducer, we get an equivalent electrical output signal, that is temperature to electrical potential, without any external source of energy being used. So whenever we are going to use thermoelectric type of transducer, at that time our transducer is going to give us electrical signal without using any kind of external source, right? So this type of transducer are called as a active transducer. Now talking about passive transducer. These transducer need external power supply for their operation. So in active transducer, they do not require any external power source, and in passive transducer, they need external power source to perform their operation. So they are not self-generating type transducer, right? So they are not self-generating type transducer. A DC power supply or an audio frequency generator is used as external power source. So we are requiring some amount of power for our transducer to perform any particular operations. This transducer produces the output signal in the form of variation in resistance, capacitance, or some other electrical parameters in response to the quantity to be measured. So whatever quantity we are measuring, we are going to get electrical signal from our passive transducer. Passive transducers are further classified as shown in figure. So here are some passive transducers that are variable resistor, variable reactance, optoelectronics, Hall effects. So in variable resistor there are different types, that is like strain gauge, thermistor, potentiometric photoconductor, that is LDR. Then after, in variable resistance we are going to see the inductive type and capacitive type. Further, inside of the inductive type we can use variable reactance, variable permeability and LVDT, that is linear variable differential transformer or linear variable differential transducer. Then after, optoelectronics, inside of optoelectronics we can use photoemission or photoconductive, and in the last, that is the Hall effect type. And in this subject we are going to study all these passive transducer in different chapters. So don't worry if you are not getting any point right now. This is for only the overview purpose. Okay, so please note this down. Then after, the comparison of active and passive transducer. Now in active transducer do not need any external power supply for their operation, and in passive transducer they need external power supply for their operation. Then after, in active transducer, these are self-generating transducer. They produce voltage or current proportional to the physical quantity being measured. And on the other hand, these transducer produce variation in resistance, capacitance or inductance in the response of physical quantity being measured. Then after, example of active transducer that are we already studied: thermocouple, photovoltaic sensor such as potential cell, piezoelectric transducer, and so on and so forth. In the other hand, in passive transducer we have thermistor, LDR, that is light depending resistance, LVDT, that is linear variable differential transformer, and phototransistor. Okay, now we are going to see the analog transducer. The output of this transducer in the analog form, that means it is a continuous function of time. The example of analog transducer are thermocouple, LVDT, strain gauge, etc. So whenever we are going to get continuous time signal, at that time we can call it as an analog signal. Suppose we are going to take one simple example of measuring the temperature of room. At that time, this is the temperature and this is the time. At that time, if the temperature is going to vary something like this, at that time this type of signal is called as a continuous time signal, because we at any given moment of time we can get our value of temperature, right? Now next is digital transducer. The output of this transducer is in the digital form. That means it is in the form of digital pulses, discrete in time. It is discrete in time. These pulses forms a unique code for each value sensed. So taking the same example of measuring the temperature of the room, we can get discrete time signal. So at a point, at one instant point we can get one value, at another point instant we can get another value, and so on and so forth. So at a discrete point of time we can get different value of the temperature. And after that, if we are going to convert digital to analog, we can join all these points by means of different method, and we can convert this digital signal into the analog signal. Now talking about the comparison of analog and digital transducer. Now analog transducer, these are the output of this transducer is in the analog form. That means it is a continuous function of time. On the other hand, the output of this transducer, that is the digital transducer, is in the digital form. That means it is in the form of digital pulses, discrete in time. These pulses form a unique code for each value sensed. So each and every time the value sensed by the digital transducer is different. The example of analog transducer are thermocouple, LVDT, strain gauge, and etc. The example of digital transducer are optical encoder and shaft encoder. Now moving forward, the primary and secondary transducer. Some transducer contain mechanical as well as electrical device. The mechanical device converts the physical quantity to be measured into the mechanical signal. Such mechanical devices are called as a primary transducer because they deal with the physical quantity to be measured. Suppose we are measuring the pressure using some pressure gauge. At that time, first we are converting that pressure into the mechanical energy. Then after, from the mechanical energy, we can use our passive transducer and measure it in electrical form. So converting any physical quantity into mechanical quantity, that is the first stage. That stage is called as a primary transducer because they deal with the physical quantity to be measured. The electrical device that convert this mechanical signal into the corresponding electrical signal, such as electrical device, are known as a secondary transducer. So if we are measuring the same pressure, at that time the energy of pressure is converted into the mechanical energy. Then after, from the mechanical energy, we can convert it into the electrical energy using any kind of passive transducer. Reference figure in which diaphragm act as a primary transducer, it is converted into the pressure. So we are going to see the figure in which the diaphragm act as a primary transducer. It converts the pressure, that is the quantity to be measured, into the displacement and the mechanical signal. So here is the figure in which this diaphragm is act as a primary transducer, because whenever the pressure is applied on this diaphragm, at that time what's going to be happen, the diagram is going to be move forward or backward direction according to the value of pressure. So this transducer transform the pressure energy into the mechanical energy. That is why this diaphragm is called as a primary transducer. And moving of this core, we can convert this mechanical energy, or we can say mechanical movement, into the electrical output signal that is directly proportional to this pressure. So this is how we can convert our energy from physical quantity to mechanical quantity using the primary transducer, and mechanical quantity to the electrical quantity using the secondary transducer. Now here are the comparison between primary and secondary transducer. So in primary transducer, some transducer contain a mechanical as well as electrical device. The mechanical device convert the physical quantity to be measured into mechanical signal, that is the movement, right? Then after, such mechanical device are called as a primary transducer because they deal with the physical quantity to be measured, as we already discussed in the example of pressure measurement. Then after, in the secondary transducer, the electrical device that convert this mechanical energy or mechanical signal into the corresponding electrical signal, such electrical device are known as secondary transducers. Now referring to the same figure of the diaphragm act as a primary transducer and converting pressure quantity into the electrical or the displacement quantity, that is the mechanical signal. On the other hand, the displacement is then converted into the electrical signal using the LVDT, that is linear variable differential transformer. Hence the LVDT act as a secondary transducer. Now moving forward, the next topic is transducer and inverse transducer. So what is transducer we already know, but what about the inverse transducer? Let's see it. The transducer convert non-electrical quantity to electrical quantity. Okay, what is the role of transducer? It is going to convert non-electrical quantity into the electrical quantity, while inverse transducers convert electrical quantity to a non-electrical quantity. Okay, over here, whenever we are going to give electrical quantity, the inverse transducer are going to convert it into the non-electrical quantity. A PMMC, that is permanent magnet moving coil instrument, is also a inverse transducer in which current carrying coil move in the stationary magnetic field, because in this the current carried by it is converted into the force which caused the displacement. An analog ammeter or voltmeter convert current into mechanical displacement. That is what we can read on our analog voltmeter or ammeter, right? However, such device that include indicating instrument like pan recorder, oscilloscope that convert electrical signal into mechanical movement are placed at an output stage and are called as a output transducer. Now there are different example of inverse transducer that follow this definition, that is the piezoelectric crystal come in the both category, that is transducer and inverse transducer. The operation of piezoelectric crystal as the transducer will be discussed in the further section of this chapter. The piezoelectric crystal also act as an inverse transducer because when the voltage is applied across the surface, it changed the dimension, cause the mechanical displacement. That is why the piezoelectric crystal is also called as an inverse transducer. Now moving forward, the classification of transducer on the quantity to be measured. So which kind of quantity we are measuring, based on we can classify our different transducer. So we are measuring the temperature transducer, then after the pressure transducer, displacement transducer, flow transducer and other transducers. So these are the different quantities that we can measure using different transducers. We will discuss all these different transducer in detail in further chapters. Now classification of transducer according to the transduction principle. So which type of principle we are using in our transducer, based on that we can classify our transducer. The first one, that is the capacitive transduction, that is looking like this. In capacitive transduction or in capacitive transducer, the measurand is converted into the change of capacitance. Change on capacitance, that is delta C over here. The capacitance consists of two plates that are separated by dielectric. If the difference between these plates is varied, the capacitance change as shown in figure. So value of capacitance is going to be changed based on the dielectric medium we can change, right? The next one, that is the electromagnetic transduction. In electromagnetic transduction, the measured quantity or the measurand is converted to voltage induced in the conductor, by which in the magnetic flux in absence of excitation. Okay, the electromagnetic transduction are self-generating device transduction. The motion between the piece of magnet and electromagnet responsible for the change as shown in figure. So whenever this magnet is going to change, the output is also going to be changed. That's why this is called as a electromagnetic transduction. The next one, that is the inductive transduction. So in inductive transduction, the measurand is, or the measured value is converted into the change in its self inductance, that is delta L. It is achieved by displacing the core, that is this core, in between this coil. So mechanically this core is going to be displaced, or we can move this core by means of mechanical movement, and we can change this inductance. That is why this is called as a inductive inductance. Then after, piezoelectric induction. In piezoelectric induction, the measurand is converted into a change in electrostatic charge, that is delta Q, or we can say delta V, is generated by the crystal when mechanical stress is applied on the transducer. Right now, if we are going to give a tensile force or compressive force, depending upon that, the change in delta Q or delta V is going to be observed, right? So this is called as a piezoelectric induction. Now photovoltaic transduction. In photovoltaic transduction, the measurand is converted to voltage generated when the junction between the dissimilar matter is illuminated as shown in figure. So as we can see, whenever the light is going to be observed over this point, the voltage difference between these two similar, or we can say dissimilar materials, is going to be observed. So our output voltage, that is change in voltage, is going to be observed. Next is photoconductive transduction. Now in photoconductive transduction, the measurand is converted to change in resistance of semiconductor material by the changing the light incident or light, applying light on it. Okay, as we can see in over here in figure. So this is the classification of transduction according to the transduction principle. Next one, that is the characteristics of transducer. It is also important in our transducer chapter. So whenever selecting our transducer, we require some different characteristics of our transducer that are like ruggedness. It is the ability of a transducer to withstand overload. A good transducer must have high degree of ruggedness. Then after linearity, it means the relation between the output and input of transducer should be linear. So whenever we are changing our input, our output need to be changed at the same value. That is how we can say it as a linear transducer. Linearity is a very important characteristic while selecting our transducer for proper applications. Repeatability, it means it is the ability of transducer to produce the output signal exactly when the same amount of input is applied repeatedly under the same environmental condition. So whenever we are applying the same amount of input value, our output need to be same at a repeated period of time. That is why it is called as a repeatability. Then after accuracy, we all know about accuracy. It means it is defined as closeness of the actual output produced by a transducer to the ideal or true value. Ideal or true value of the quantity being measured. So if we are measuring the 5 ampere, our output reading need to be nearby the 5 ampere, that is the true value, right? So our output need to be 4.9 or 5.1, that is near to the 5 ampere. So it is called as a accurate reading. For any transducer, the accuracy should be as high as possible. Now next, that is high stability and high reliability. There should be a minimum amount of error in the measurement and it should be unaffected by temperature, vibrations and the other environmental conditions. So the stability of our transducer need to be high for the proper applications. Speed of response, it shows how quickly our transducer respond to the change in quantity being measured. Whatever quantity we are measuring temperature, pressure, force, etc. The response need to be very quick. That is why we require high speed of response of our transducer. The speed of response should be as high as possible. Then after sensitivity, the sensitivity of transducer is defined as the output produced per unit change in the input quantity being measured. So what is the minimum value that our transducer can sense? That is called as a sensitivity. For example, the sensitivity of thermocouple is expressed in millivolt per degree Celsius. So if we are changing some millivolt or if we are changing our temperature in very small range, it is going to show us in millivolt changes. The sensitivity should be as high as possible again. Then after small size, a transducer must have small size, proper shape and minimum volume so that it can be placed at any location for the measurements. Okay, we can place this transducer at any place because of the small size and compact design. Okay, now next and last point, that is the basic requirements of the transducer. So these are some basic requirements of our transducer, that is nature of the measurements. The selection of transducer depend on the nature of quantity being measured. So whenever we are selecting our transducer, if we are measuring temperature, we are measuring pressure, we need to see the environmental condition, and with the help of that we can use active transducer or passive transducer, right? For example, for measuring the capacitance, the capacitor sensor need to be used, right? Cost and availability, the factor involved in the transducer selection are the availability of the component, simplicity of the transducer, reliability and low maintenance. So we all require cost effectiveness and availability in our transducer, right? So the availability of the transducer is also there, and reliability and low maintenance we required for our proper application for better performance, right? Then after measuring system compatibility, a transducer selected must be compact with the electrical system used. The output produced of the transducer and the measuring system must not affect each other. We are not affecting any other transducer or other signals in our measuring process, right? Then after loading effect, it means if the transducer affect the value to be measured, error may be introduced in the measured value. Okay, suppose we are measuring the temperature of one flask. Okay, at that time if we are opening our flask in between the measurement, At that time the error is there due to the different measuring time. Suppose we are measuring 10 times, it means we need to open that flask for the 10 times. So error is going to be introduced, or the temperature is going to be changed that 10 times, right? So we need to reduce this kind of errors in our measuring system. Next is environmental consideration. In order to achieve desired output, a careful study is to be made of transducer or transducer condition, as its output may be affected due to the electromagnetic interference, shocks, vibration and temperature change. So whenever we are measuring any kind of quantity at different environments, so outer environmental effect should not affect our transducer reading, or it does not affect our transducer. While selecting a transducers, we must select transducer that is simple in operation and has less number of moving part, because less number of moving part, less complexity and good reliability, right? Also, the transducers should not require continuous calibration, checking and repairing. So if we are using a transducer, its ruggedness need to be very good. That's why we cannot replace our transducer in short duration of time, or we do not need any checking or calibration of the transducer. Then after operating range, the transducer must be selected such that it provide good resolution or good range over a time. That is, if we are measuring the current, at that time if we know the current value is going to be vary in between 1 to 5 in maximum range, but sometimes it is going beyond the 5 value, that at that time we required wider range of instrument, right? So at that time we can use 0 to 10 ampere reading, but we cannot use 0 to 5 because the range is little bit of lower than the 0 to 10 ampere. So the range of our transducer need to be high. Then after sensitivity, as we know, the sensitivity of the transducer should be as high as possible. Okay. Now these are some questions that are very important with respect to your examination. So please note this down, all these questions which we covered in this video lecture. And thank you. If you have any queries regarding this video lecture, then please feel free to ask in comment section. Thank you.